Have you ever wondered what it would be like to keep a living teddy bear in your tank? That barely describes axolotls, but it's a close start. These smiling little salamanders are straight out of a fantasy world, originally hailing from the lakes of Mexico City. They stay in juvenile form in a process called neoteny, meaning they keep their adorable gills and baby shape forever. It's like they took one look at adulthood and said, nah, I'll stay cute. But beyond their charm, there's something magical about sharing your aquatic world with such a unique creature. That's why today I'm diving into everything you need to know to care for these gelatinous gems from water to diet and everything in between. First, let's talk setup. When I first got my axolotl, I seriously underestimated how picky they are about tank conditions. They don't need a huge tank to live, but they thrive in space that's at least 20 gallons. More water volume means stable temperature and cleaner chemistry. It's like a stable relationship only with water instead of emotions. They don't appreciate currents either. In the wild, they float around calm canals. So I ditched that swept surface filter I had in a different tank and went for a gentle sponge filter. Peaceful water is the difference between a happy axie and one who hides in their decor like a shy teenager. Water temperature is another biggie. These guys like it cool right around 60 to 64 degrees Fahrenheit. If your tank feels like bath water, you need a tank chiller or a cooler room. I tried using ice cubes once and nearly killed my water cycle. Not smart. Always go slow and monitor temperature changes. Speaking of monitoring, I can't stress testing enough. Ammonia, nitrites, nitrates, and pH are your best friends here. Axolotls are sensitive to poor water quality, so I test weekly and occasionally change 20% of water. Keeping things clean is way less dramatic than dealing with a sick axie. I'm making a quick pause here to invite you to join over 1,000 fish aficionados to our weekly cool and quick fish facts. Just go to aquariumsource.com/subscribe. I promise it won't smell fishy. Really, who teaches you about the honey gourami with a Brad Pitt gif? Now let's talk substrate. Gravel looks nice, but axolotls love to swallow it by accident. I learned this when I found gravel in my filter and freaked out. Instead, I went for fine sand. It looks natural, doesn't risk impaction, and is easy to clean. Less drama, more animal love. Decor is next. Axolotls are like curious toddlers who appreciate caves and hiding spots. I added PVC pipes and smooth rocks and even some fake caves from pet stores. They love to disappear, so these features help reduce stress. Just make sure everything is smooth and won't rip those delicate gills. Plants are a fun addition, too. I chose Java fern and hornwort because they float or attach and are easy to maintain. My axie never eats them, but the plants help with water quality. And let's be honest, they make the tank look like an enchanted underwater forest. Now on to their diet. Axolotls are carnivores who love sinking pellets, worms, and occasional earthworms. I tried feeding them feeder fish once and never again. It's messy and can introduce disease. Stick with good quality pellets and worms. Feeding 2 to 3 times a week works best in my experience. I slipped in a fun fact here: axolotls can regrow lost limbs. Fish can't even hack that feat. But you only want limb regeneration at a scientific discovery level, not because of stress or illness. Clean tanks prevent most injuries. All right, so what happens during feeding time? It's like hosting a burger contest where your axie is the only contestant and they're always the winner. I drop food in, and they glide over in their signature waving style. They gulp it up with that adorable smile, and I feel like I'm winning at Pet Parenthood. Behavior-wise, axolotls are surprisingly chill. They move like underwater ghosts doing yoga. My axie spends mornings exploring, mid-afternoon sunbathing, and evenings lounging like it is prime TV time. They don't need fancy lighting or schedules beyond a gentle day-night rhythm. They are mostly solitary creatures, so I kept mine solo to avoid stressing it out. If you want tank mates, you need to choose slow, peaceful fish that won't nip its gills or stress it. I tried small snails once and they're hit or miss. I prefer a single axie setup for peace of mind. Let's talk health. Axolotls are generally hardy but fairly sensitive to fungi and bacteria if conditions slip. Watch out for white, fuzzy growth around limbs or mouth. I had it once and treated it by gently cleaning the area and doing frequent water checks until it disappeared. Oh, and watch their skin. It's soft, porous, and can get irritated easily. I learned this when I moved some rocks only to realize the gravel cut into its tail. Thankfully, everything healed, but lesson learned: always handle with care. Keeping them warm is a bad idea. I once had my tank too warm and my axie slowed down, stopped eating, and looked stressed. I had to chill the water and it took a few days, but once it was back at the right temperature, it perked back up like nothing happened. Temperature matters. Tail twitches are normal, but if you see it dragging or curved oddly, it might be infection or injury. That's when you do frequent water tests and consider a salt dip. I once used a gentle salt bath that cleared up skin irritation in 48 hours. Just always follow dosage instructions. Molting gill filaments is another quirky oddity they do. They shred off old gill tips and grow new ones. It looks dramatic, but if they do it every few days or weeks, gently cleaning the water helps them grow fresh, pristine gills. Breathing is funny too, since they can absorb oxygen through their skin, but they also gulp air at the surface sometimes. It's normal, and sometimes looks like adorably silly snorkel practice. As long as they're not gasping constantly, it's fine. So what happens when they get sick? Early diagnosis is key. If they stop eating or float upside down, it's stress or illness. I had that happen when the filter broke. Quick water fixes and cleanups brought back their appetite within days. Now you might be wondering how long these little water puppies live. With good care, they can live 10 to 15 years. That's like half your child's school career. They're a serious long-term commitment, so only get one if you're ready. Breeding is complicated too. I made that mistake of researching fast, but realized the sexing stage is hard and larvae are super delicate. I decided to stick with one happy, healthy axolotl and leave breeding to researchers. Caring for these creatures also means understanding pet laws. They're endangered in the wild, so make sure you have proper permits and buy from reputable breeders. I once tried to flash buy an axie from an online site, and thankfully I did my homework before pulling the trigger. One of the coolest things about caring for axolotls is watching them regenerate limbs or gills. I once accidentally startled mine and it lost a gill tip. Within weeks, that gill grew back perfectly. It felt like witnessing magic. Budget-wise, these pets aren't cheap, but they don't need extravagant setups. A good tank filter heater or chiller and water test kit are your essentials. I kept it simple and invested in quality over flashy decor, and it's paid off. Cleaning is simple, just a small weekly water change test and gravel vacuum. I do it on a Saturday morning with coffee, and it's kind of relaxing. The water only needs a light cleanup because it's a gentle ecosystem, not a zoo exhibit. My final tip for novices is research everything before you buy, just like I wish I had. Know their needs, know their quirks, and know your limitations. Nothing kills enthusiasm like being unexpectedly overwhelmed midweek when your tank alarm goes off. Seeing my axolotl glide in the water is still the highlight of my day. That little face that resembles a Pixar movie character is a reminder that we share this planet with wonders. So if you've ever thought about giving one of these gilled buddies a home, do your homework, prepare a peaceful tank, and embrace the unexpected delight they bring. If you loved this deep dive into axolotl care, help me out with a like, subscribe, and comment axolotl life or what creature you want next. I'd love to hear about your axolotl stories or questions. Thanks for swimming along with me today. Keep curious, keep caring, and I'll see you in the next video.